Every Who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton, but where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one Who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and low prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo.
There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do?
I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
Breaking news are happening now.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Reality Flash. My name is Mike Bloom, and I am here to bring you the flashiest breaking news in the wild world of reality TV. Before we get into today's topic, of course, I would never be one to fish for likes. We all know that at this point, but I am always fishing for subs and tips. So be sure to subscribe to this podcast at therealityflash.com. While you're there, of course, leaving a rating and review would be greatly appreciated. And of course, if you spot any reality TV news like the stuff we're talking about today that you want me to cover here on the Reality Flash, no spam, no solicitations, just tips at therealityflash.com. Now, if you feel me racing through that brief introduction and housekeeping, it's appropriate as we have, for the second week in a row, actually, a CBS reality cast revealed to us. We are but 1 month away to the day from the premiere of The Amazing Race 37. It's been a minute since we have seen it on our screens. Of course, had its last season in spring 2024, and it's back for the spring again, as will be our Amazing Race series of podcasts. So we are here to break down everything we know about the season so far and the burgeoning set of teams in what is shaping up to be the biggest and twistiest season of the Emmy-winning reality series yet. Now, it's appropriate that, of course, we talk about The Amazing Race in duos, and extra appropriate that I bring on this person to talk about The Amazing Race 37, our chief Amazing Race correspondent, Jess. We're back.
We're back. It's like we never left, Mike.
I know. It did felt like forever and a day. And also, technically, because season 36 did a little bit of time traveling in its own, right? So, like, this is the first kind of quote-unquote regular season since 35, which aired a year and a half ago. But now it feels like the timeline, well, maybe outside of this podcast, is not really regulating itself. Inside, it definitely has stabilized.
Yeah, I feel like out in the world is chaos, and then Amazing Race is like a safe, cozy haven for us. And in the race, nothing bad can happen. Well, bad things can happen, but they're not cosmically bad.
But then, a commercial break happens, then it comes back, and they're fine at the end of the
exactly. Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to continue. Oh, wait, we can. It's interesting. I have not. This is the longest I've gone without doing a podcast in about 8 years. I think the last time we had a fall with no Amazing Race was when I had my child, and then I jumped right back into the swing of things. So,
yeah. Well, happy to have you back after a little bit of time off. And listen, we're going to keep going forward from here, to your point, because our coverage will officially be returning on March 5th with the premiere. We are sticking with 90-minute episodes. And I think if you're looking for a structure to the season, which we will certainly get into because there's a lot to unpack there, I would say look at the format of season 35 rather than season 36. Of course, for those that may not remember, you know, Amazing Race production was informed during the filming of season 35. Hey, we're going to try out 90-minute episodes. So as a result, they brought on what was then a record number of teams, only to be broken by this season. They put more tasks in. They went to more locations. They brought back things like the Express Pass. and the U-turn to fill out that time. Season 36 was a little bit of, filling a 90-minute bag with 60 minutes of material. It was back in sort of the COVID era where it was the amazing charter play. We were going to specifically countries in the Caribbean and in South America. But here, Jess, it truly does seem like we are back to that, original flavor, Amazing Race that we know and love, but with some additional flavor twists thrown in as well.
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep the flavor twists in to keep it spicy. We put a little cinnamon in our chocolate, right?
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting is that these twists are flavors both old and new. So let's get into what we know about The Amazing Race 37. Again, we know that it is premiering on March 5th on CBS, that it is going to be airing in 90-minute episodes in the post-Survivor time slot from 9:30 to 11. And it is going to be, Jess, I know that Amazing Race briefly dipped its toes into the water sometimes of themes, and then it went away for a little bit. But we have sort of like an unofficial theme, as coined by CBS in the press release that came out today. This is, quote, a season of surprises.
Expect the unexpected? Oh, that's the other show, right?
I mean, so this is SOS, which also was the Summer of Secrets on Big Brother. So yeah, they might be more closely related than we may think. Much like another Big Brother twist.
Yeah, getting Big Brother in My Amazing Race has historically not gone well.
Well, nary a Big Brother to be seen here. We do have siblings and parents and children. But speaking towards that season of surprises, there aren't like a huge amount of specifics, but we do have a couple of nuggets to chew on, Jess, that I'm really intrigued to get your thoughts on.
What flavor are the nuggets?
It's a good question. They might be spicy. It depends on the sauce as well. But we've got plenty of dipping sauces here because, season 35 brought back a couple of these unique route markers from seasons past that we hadn't seen in a while just due to budget or time constraints, like the Express Pass, like the U-turn. The press release does confirm that the U-turn will continue for season 37, which is exciting. Listen, we acknowledge the fact that people may want to check out The Amazing Race because it's not an inherently strategic show, but like it's nice from our perspectives, Jess, right? To like bring a little bit of that social strategic element into something like The Amazing Race and to make sure it wasn't a one and done when it came back in 35.
I don't mind the U-turn. I like the U-turn. I just need it after the detour.
There we go. That's now maybe it's the fact that like they brought it back now they can kind of work through the kinks,
Yeah.
Like that is really what they should be focused on. I also believe did we only have one U-turn or one U-turn used, I think, in season 35. So hopefully we can expand that a bit more, though. Who knows, Jess, this might become a bit of like a kitchen sink season where it's like, all right, we're going to throw something in every single episode because, believe it or not, there is another element from Amazing Race seasons past that is officially making its return in season 37. Jess, a familiar green envelope is in our sights. CBS has confirmed the fast forward is back for season 37.
Boy, I can't wait for like the strongest team of dude bros to grab the fast forward and breeze past everybody to get the first place that they would have gotten anyway.
All right.
I sound so bitter, Mike. I'm not bitter. I'm excited.
Well, for the uninitiated, for those that may not remember, because it's been 8 seasons since we last saw it. Season 29, the blind date season, was the last time. Describe to people what a fast forward is.
Oh, yes. Well, a fast forward, I don't want to give the whole like sordid history of the fast forward. A fast forward is it's a thing that allows you to skip all tasks and go straight to the pit stop. It's very powerful. It's maybe a little bit OP, we might argue. But in early seasons, you had them on every leg, and so you had to decide when you wanted to go for the fast forward. You have to complete a task, and then if you are the first team to complete that task, you get the fast forward, you can go to the end of the leg. And what happened was, later on, they just had 1 or 2 per season, and whatever team was in first place already would go for the fast forward, and they'd get first place, which they probably would have anyway. And it wasn't as exciting as like a team that was definitely going to be out, going for the fast forward and jumping to the front of the pack, and then probably going home the next week, but whatever.
Yeah.
But
yes.
It was fun. And I think it's fun that it's coming back if we have a really good task with it and we're not just rewarding whoever shows up first.
Right. So yeah, the fast forward was in seasons 1 through 4. The twist was that it's honestly just the fast forward was kind of like the shot in the dark. No, that like
Right.
everyone starts with one, and you could only get one fast forward every season. So like you could use it in the first leg if you feel like you're falling behind. You could wait to save it until like the final 6, final 5 if you need to. Season 5, just due to budgetary restrictions, because there were a lot of fast forwards that were unused over the course of the first 4 seasons. They scaled it back to happening only twice or 3 times a season. Towards the end of its run, it was really only once a season. I would say like maybe the most famous fast forward task, to the point where it's gotten dangled in front of people several times, is the head shaving that happened to eventually winners Uchenna and Joyce in Amazing Race 7. I'm trying to think about if there are some like other ones, Jess, because to your
Amazing
point,
Race 12, we had a team had to get tattoos.
Yes. Oh, I've read the FF, right?
Yeah. That's a favorite of mine. It's a lot of like those thrill tasks, like you have to bungee jump or walk across a big balance beam or do something scary. I think there's been a lot of rafting. I get that you don't want to set up a whole extra task every leg that may or may not get used. There was season 3 when they had to drive a tank and they ended up getting eliminated anyway because they were that far behind.
Yes, exactly. So they could range from like big actiony stunts to like, hey, just go out of your way to briefly do this thing. It'll be interesting to see what they end up going with the return of the fast forward. And who knows, there might be plenty more stuff returning from previous seasons as well. I know season 32 briefly experimented with bringing the yield back. Maybe we'll see the yield again, or maybe the U-turn overwrites that. Let's talk about a bit of the new, though, Jess, because this ain't just all nostalgia bait. There is some new stuff thrown in, and it's going to hit us right from the beginning with a brand new route marker, as announced, the fork in the road, which, besides having some of the most ill-proper timed naming in recent history, essentially is like Amazing Race mitosis. That, as we'll get into, this is the largest group of teams ever. We're starting with 14. We are starting with 14 teams in Hong Kong, but 14 will quickly go down to 12, as at some point in the opening leg, basically we're going to divide the cast in half, and then they're going to race within their like little mini groups of, I imagine, 7 teams for the rest of the leg. And so the teams that come in first, and each team that comes in last in their individual groups are eliminated.
Okay, that's more interesting than what I was envisioning, which was the I think it was season 26 where they did this, and they split off, and it was almost like a this or that, and then it was like a super detour, because once you were on one path, you had to do all of the tasks in order, and they didn't split the teams. It was more like you could just choose which one you were doing without really understanding what exactly you're going to be doing.
Yeah, like this scramble almost, like do this in any order.
Scramble-esque. They didn't have to. It was a mandated order, but it was like your detour had 3 separate tasks that you had at 3 separate locations, I think it was. So this is similar, but this is just like 2 roads diverging in the yellow wood and
yellow and redwood.
Yeah, the yellow and redwood for the Amazing Race. It's interesting that it's almost like the Survivor Merge Challenge, where they split the people up and half of them get immunity.
Yeah, I could see the benefits and the drawbacks of it. The benefits for me are that you often say that the premieres and finales are the worst legs in an Amazing Race season. And the chief reason why that's the case for the premiere is that there's so many teams. There's, in this season, 28 people that we're going to have to meet and learn about and try to track them over the course of this chaotic first leg. This does help stratify it a bit, and that, like, okay, if we're trying to keep track of which team is doing where, at least now we have 7 and 7 rather than, okay, let's see where all these 14 teams are going. I imagine that's going to be a bit easier to edit, and then maybe that allows us to get to know them a little bit better as well and analyze, their racing skills early on. It comes at the drawback of, really, unfortunately, getting rid of 2 teams right off the bat. Especially modern day Amazing Race, it really seems to only take place over the course of like a handful of hours, and we're already getting rid of 1/7 of the cast in that time. I have seen a lot of comments, and it is understandable, Jess, of people just saying like, why not cast 1 less team? Why cast one more team just for this gimmick and to ditch them immediately?
With 90-minute episodes, I hate this less than I would. And also, you have to consider we're not going full Australia here, where they have 22 teams and they start them on 2 separate legs and don't tell them there are 22 teams. And then there's the season of Australia where they just started adding random teams in the middle of the show.
Well, listen, don't put the cart before the horse here, Jess. This is the twistiest season ever. You never know. We might have intruders.
Yeah, let's maybe not look to Australia in this instance. I know Australian reality TV is fine, it's sophisticated, we love it, but I think Amazing Race is probably better off with the amount of twists. We're content with the amount of twists we have in our lives. I love the idea of splitting it into, it's almost like Survivor tribes, and it's almost like we have little microcosms for the first episode. I think to your point, that will be a lot easier to keep track of than if they're all just running around choosing different tasks willy-nilly and us having to try to figure out which one goes where. I think that's going to be harder.
All right, last thing I will say in terms of public information we know about The Amazing Race 37 as a whole is a statement from, of course, the co-creators, EPs, the parents of The Amazing Race, Bertram Van Munster and Elise Doganieri. They briefly describe what she would expect from season 37 of The Amazing Race. They say, this season, 14 teams will embark on an unforgettable adventure, traveling around the globe for a stop in Osaka, Japan, where they will experience a modern-day bullet train in a thriving city, and then immerse themselves in a 12,000-year-old tradition, performing with a taiko drum group. They will feel the adrenaline rush of skydiving over Dubai's breathtaking cityscape, contrasted with another stop, for the first time on The Amazing Race, in the countryside of Bulgaria. They will participate in a traditional folk dance. Adding a new city this season, teams will visit the medieval village of Strasbourg, France, which will feel like stepping into a fairy tale. For our season of surprises, there is no end to the drama, twists, and turns until we see who the winners are. So a couple of points there. Just seems like we're in due for a lot of Asia legs. Return to Dubai for the first time in a while, and we're continuing our streak here. Season 35 had a new country in, of course, Slovenia. Then we had last season, we had the 1-2 punch of the Dominican Republic and Barbados. This time we've got Bulgaria. Any hot Bulgaria takes?
I mean, it's kind of surprising to me that they've never been there before. Bulgaria is kind of up and coming. And they have a lot of things that The Amazing Race likes. They have coastlines, they have old cities, they have an interesting Iron Curtain past. I think there's a lot you can do with Bulgaria, and I'm excited to see it.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see what The Amazing Race has in store for us. And if we're going to see even more twists come in, not only new countries, but new big game-shattering moments to see as well. But of course, we got to talk about who's running the race. I'll be back in a flash to break down this record number of 14 teams who are all going to be in the hunt for the $1 million prize.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Hello, I'm Diane Morgan. If you know who I am, you know who I am. If you don't, who cares? I'm here to explain Italian Time, a holiday phenomenon where Italians throw away their clocks and gather for eternity with San Pellegrino. I've been at this party so long that I've eaten 5 courses, hugged someone's grandma twice, and been offered a job in the family restaurant. So this holiday season, make sure to bring enough San Pellegrino to last you through the meal, the after meal, and the entire goodbye ritual. San Pellegrino, holiday on Italian Time.
All right, Jess, we've got 14 teams to talk about. Even before we get into them specifically, I got to get your thoughts about this increasingly ballooning cast size. Shrinkflation is real.
You know, the more people, like, as long as everybody there wants to be there, I'm happy for them. I'm excited. Like, this is like 2 more teams than usual that get to have their lifelong dream realized.
Yeah, I would say 3, right? Because I feel like
3.
A couple of times, I believe it was 34, we went up to 12, then 35, we went up to 13, and then here we are at 14, which again is pretty wild considering like the family edition, right? When, yes, that calculated out to 32 people, but that was only 8 teams.
Yeah,
or 10, was it 8 or 10 teams? I think it was 10 teams.
I think it was 10, I'm pretty sure. But I'm just glad they're not doing the thing that they did to those poor yoga teachers when they had 12 teams the first time and they eliminated somebody at the starting line before they got to go anywhere.
No, just give them a few hours, though, and they'll be right out the door, too.
Yeah, that was, at least you get to go on a trip. At least you get to leave the country.
Exactly. I will also say, Jess, in terms of diversity, a lot of things are the big to-do that people are pointing out are the ages of these contestants, which, look, is never one to do from, like, a societal faux pas perspective. But, listen, the Whiz Kids have been doing the tallies behind the scenes, and I do believe the Amazing Race 37 has, on average, the oldest cast in this show's history.
That's fantastic. I mean, I love it for I love it for the old people.
Yeah, so what do you think about that? I mean, we love our tried and true tropes of like the sweet old couple that are a bit out of their element running against, kids that are half their age. Do we feel like this gives a bigger chance to people? I don't think there's anyone really in that archetype this season or close to it, but do you think that's going to make things more equitable, or is the Amazing Race still a young man's game?
I think it depends a lot on what the race course is like and what the challenges are. Because I think we even saw last season that if you have a team that's really in their element, they don't have to be necessarily the fastest and buffest and strongest team, as long as, they can be smart about it. They choose the right tasks. They know what they're doing, and they're not feeling like they're lost in whatever environment they're in. Like, if they're adaptable and agile and smart, I think you can be just about any age, any kind of relationship, any ability level, and have a shot at it at least.
Age is just a number, and hopefully that number is 1 for one of these teams at the end of it.
Mike, you're not allowed to run the race if you're under 18.
I guess
I don't think a 1-year-old could. Okay, I take it back. It's not anybody that could run the Amazing Race. I feel
well,
like
to be fair, 1-year-olds can't run, so that
you have
also
to be able
helps.
to walk first.
Is that the prerequisite? I didn't realize that was an unwritten rule of the Amazing Race.
I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions to every rule, but don't put a toddler on the Amazing Race, please. I don't want to watch Amazing Race Toddler Edition.
You hear that, Phil? We've drawn the line at this point.
This far and no further.
All right, well, let's get into these 14 teams. And we have, admittedly, little information about them. We have their names, their relationships, their ages, where they're from, what they do. And I do have some miscellaneous information that was collated together from truly one of the fantastic sources out there on the wild world of the reality TV internet. Of course, at reality TV __ fan on really all social media platforms, was able to find some fun personal facts about some of these teams that will be fun to bring in. And hopefully we'll find out about them once we get to meet them on March 5th. So we're going in alphabetical order here by first name, starting with, and we do have in the YouTube version of this, of course, photos of the teams to go alongside it, because again, it's a lot to deal with. We have Alyssa Borden and Josiah Borden. They are 31 and 32 respectively. They are from Philadelphia, and they are married nurse anesthetists.
Is this the new thing that you can be on The Amazing Race? Because we had nurse anesthetists last season.
To be fair, they were dating and then engaged. This is like their Pokemon final form, Jess.
Oh, wow. This is like the Charizard. I mean, they're wearing orange, so that tracks.
And I will say, Alyssa's leggings are, I wouldn't say they're flesh colored, but they're certainly of a shade that, like, when I looked at the group photo without really taking a look at them, I'm like, oh wow, I know they say pack light, but like, someone's taking it a little too liberally.
Yeah, it's a choice. But also it's like they tell you what color you're gonna be, and you don't have a lot of options when you're orange. Like I think we saw some interesting orange fashion choices last season too.
Yeah, Team Creamsicle here, and hopefully they will relish a sweet victory or put the competition to sleep along the way. Let's get into our pair of friends here. Bernie Gutierrez and Kerrigan Skadden. Bernie is 31, a personal trainer. Kerrigan is 33, a spa educator. They are friends from Dallas in the terms of Bernie and Denver in terms of Kerrigan. And reality TV __ fan was able to identify they are also Dragon Boat writers as well.
Oh, well, that explains, like, they always have to have a hook. Like, you can't just be friends that live in two different cities. You got to have friends that do an activity together.
Yeah, can you describe Dragon Boat racing? I mean, like, I have an image in my mind. I'm not sure if it's exactly that image from a recreational perspective.
I mean, I think there's been an Amazing Race challenge around this at one point, but, and I've gone out to Flushing and seen this happen. But they're big, elaborate boats, and it's almost like you have like a certain number of people. I think it's like 8 or so, and they row the boats and they race these beautiful boats that look like dragons. I mean, it's what it says on the tin, Mike. It's dragon boats.
All right. Well, if we get into any sort of rowing challenge, I imagine that's going to be. I don't want to preemptively say 5-hole, Jess, but like, are we circling it?
We haven't had a good 5-hole in so long.
I know. Let's manifest. We've got 90-minute episodes. We've got twists up the wazoo. Let's bring a good 5-hole back here. Moving on to our next team, we have Brett Hamby and Mark Romaine. Let us get into Romaine and Hamby. Brett and Mark, they are married Vegas performers, of course, assumptively living in Las Vegas. Brett is 36 and an acrobat. Mark is 37 and a dancer/model. And would you believe it, Jess? This is not Mark's first time on reality TV.
Oh boy, I can't wait to hear what his bona fides are.
Well, so Mark is a dancer in Las Vegas. He specifically appears in the RuPaul's Drag Race Live show, which is a piece of Vegas entertainment that features several queens and alumni from, of course, the hit drag franchise. Last year on RuPaul's Drag Race, there was a challenge. They typically do like a makeover challenge where you make over like a fan or you make over a previously eliminated contestant. This past season was make over a dancer from the RuPaul's Drag Race Live show. And so Mark was one of the people selected. And so he made his on-screen debut, not as Mark, but as Shakira Crystal, the drag sister of Safira Crystal last year.
All right, that's kind of, I guess is that kind of like being a human canvas on Ink Master? Like how much Mark did we actually get in this episode?
We got a little bit of personality from him, but yeah, by and large, it was about like who he became. And look, it was not a great performance, unfortunately, from Safira. It does put her in the bottom two, but hopefully Brett and Mark won't be seeing a lot of bottom placements over the course of this season.
Yeah, let's hope they're not. This feels like if we were recapping RuPaul's Drag Race, I'd probably have something better to say here, but that's not my wheelhouse.
All right, moving on to another guy team, but two very different guys. So we're moving over to the East Coast here. We have Carson and Jack. Carson McCallie, 28. Jack Dodge, 27. They are best friends and gamers. They are both apparently video game streamers living up in Brooklyn.
New York City, represent.
Yeah, what did you think about this? Like, are these our typical, like, super fan, nerdy teams? Do we really have any of those this season?
I don't, there's no team that jumps out at me as that team. And you know, Mike, from experience, that sometimes the most surprising teams end up being the ones that are the biggest nerds about it. So I don't think, like, having a nerdy profession doesn't say anything about how super into Amazing Race you might end up being. But these guys do seem like they are decently Amazing Race savvy, and being a gamer and having a platform, I think that should be a plus for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely will know how to, I wouldn't even say perform, but like definitely build some energy with the camera in front of them, even if they shouldn't be thinking about the audience at the time. And I imagine they're going to be having a lot of great ancillary side content going alongside, like Subway Surfers, The Amazing Race, Carson and Jack all streaming together at once.
Right, and they'll probably have to narrate everything they're doing while they do it, because that's how you gain your platform when you're streaming.
Yeah, it's like one long Let's Play, basically, of The Amazing Race. Not to be confused with The Amazing Race video game, which I recall and was not very good.
We should play that sometime and stream it for charity or something.
That'd be fun. I think it's on the... Well, because there's a DVD game, but I think The Amazing Race game was also on the Wii. Which,
yeah.
If it's anything like the Survivor game, was just abhorrent beyond all measure.
Yeah, it's like the E.T. of CBS reality games.
Yeah, there's a big landfill of Amazing Race games somewhere in the Mojave Desert.
It's the desert bus of Amazing Race of CBS video games. Okay.
All right.
Courtney and Jasmine.
Yeah, we're getting back to the ER, Jess, here, because we have not only nurses, but dating nurses. This is Courtney Ramsey and Jasmine Carey. Courtney is 33. Jasmine is 34. Courtney is a registered nurse. Jasmine is a nurse practitioner, so slightly different careers, but they both live in Leland, North Carolina.
Yeah, I love a quirky pair of glasses, obviously. So this team is an early favorite, and we have so many nurses in this cast. I feel like if somebody gets hurt, we're going to have it covered.
Well, maybe it's just because it's the biggest season ever and they're kind of doing their own like in-house medical supplies, right? Of like, well, if we're doing things too extreme and somebody breaks their leg, we have plenty of people on site to help us for free.
Yeah, or maybe they all applied for Tough as Nails and it was like, we're not sure if we're having another season, so why don't you just come be on Amazing Race?
You know what? That's a really interesting point. I mean, of course, we know infamous stories of how, like, Parvati, for instance, applied for The Amazing Race initially with her dad and then got brought over to Survivor. I wonder if people applied initially to Tough as Nails. And unfortunately, with that show having a bit of a nail in it at this point, said, well, we could bring you over. Do you know somebody that you want to race around the world with and see Phil Kogan, but in a very different way than anticipated?
Yeah, see Phil Kogan, maybe like, 5% less enthusiastic about what he's doing.
And like half as much, basically.
Yeah. Half as often as you would.
All right, moving into our next team here. We have our first parent-child team here in Ernest and Bridget Cato. Ernest is 59. He's actually a retired chief up from the Chicago Police Department. Bridget is 28, an account supervisor. Of course, Ernest resides in Chicago. Bridget has moved out east to Somerville, Massachusetts. And Jess, the path of the Amazing Race has been laid with a myriad of parent-child teams. Will they be as contentious as some of the biggest ones in the past?
Hard to say, Mike. We don't know enough about them yet, but I think there's a long-standing tradition of father-daughter teams where the father's kind of a hard ass and the daughter is a free spirit. We could be seeing this again.
All right. We will not police their predictions any further as we move into our next team. And we continue the family connection here as we have a pair of siblings. This is Han and Holden Nyan. Han is 26. Holden is 22. Han is a former energy consultant, and Holden is a Stanford student. I believe Holden might be the youngest person in this cast. Very much sticks out like a sore thumb. And they are both from California.
Yeah, this seems like on average, this is the youngest team. And I'm impressed by somebody that's already switching careers at 26. Like, that's versatility. That's adaptability.
Yeah, though, age cuts both ways, right? One might come with vitality and energy, might also end up coming with a bit of inexperience. I mean, we unfortunately saw what happened to poor Maya and Rohan last season as by far the youngest team. So we shall see if youth ends up winning the day here.
Yeah, it's usually a plus, but extreme youth can also be in... 26 and 22 is not extreme youth. So I think these two have a good chance.
Well, let's move to the other side of the spectrum here with our next team, Jackie and Lauren. Jackie Clayton is 51 years old, a talent acquisition architect. Lauren McKinney is 61, a corporate event strategist, and they are sisters in Waco, Texas.
They do not look 51 and 61, Mike.
They do not at all. They look fantastic.
They look younger than me.
Well, it's interesting because apparently Lauren is like a certified plant-based health coach as well. And she ended up getting like her own brand called Vegan Radiance. So, their fitness might be in her regimen on a daily basis.
Yeah, they seem like they're very, very fit. And I love the outfits. The purple is really working for them. And they really like took it to every extreme. You can see she's even got a purple watch band.
Yeah, listen, we love people who accessorize, who think all about that. Yes, packing is something you should very much heavily consider, but it always helps when you color code it as well.
Yep. I love the color coding. I used to hate the color coding, but now I've embraced it.
Exactly. It's an easy like codifier as well when you're
Right.
talking with casuals, like, oh, the purple team. I think it's like when simultaneously Brendan and Rachel and Justin and Diana are like inextricably linked with a certain color, like, you know that colors are now going to pervade Amazing Race consciousness forevermore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like once you had a team that really got cemented by their color identity, it was all over.
All right. It's not all over with our teams, though. We have many more to go. All right. So, technically speaking, the press release has them listed as Jeff Pops Bailey and Jeff Bailey Jr. But I went onto the CBS Instagram page for The Amazing Race, and they branded these guys with the much better nicknames, in my opinion, of Big Jeff and Little Jeff. And God, Jess, I'm really hoping we go with Big Jeff and Little Jeff this season.
I really like that. That's adorable.
So Big Jeff and Little Jeff are a father-son duo. They are both lumberjacks, which is very, very fun. We'll get a lot about the family business there. Jeff is 65, or Big Jeff, I should say, is 65. Little Jeff, who is actually the bigger one, which is going to be a fun way to remember that as well, is 36, and they're both from St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, I love the ironic twist that this is our first twist of the season, that Little Jeff is actually the bigger Jeff.
I know, it's just going to be tough when, like, people are trying to colloquially nickname them, like, it's the Jeff, there's that Big Jeff. It's like, no, actually, technically, I'm Little Jeff right now. Unless it's, like, Little John and, Robin Hood Men in Tights.
I mean, I love an ironic nickname.
So, yeah, we'll see if he ends up going by Pops or if Little Jeff just nicknamed them that. I just want to hear Phil Kogan say Big Jeff and Little Jeff.
Really, like, I really like that.
But yeah, it's a fun story as well. Father and son lumberjacks. Like, that's what gets you in a casting room, sight unseen, right?
Yeah, that's an elevator pitch, man.
Absolutely. And hopefully they built that elevator with some very sturdy wood from these guys. Let's go to Jonathan and Anna. So Jonathan and Anna are married parents. Jonathan and Anna Towns. Jonathan is 42. He's a software developer. Anna is 35. She is a stay-at-home mom. They're from Pomona, California. And actually, reality TV __ fan was able to clock that, hey, they had previously appeared on The Price is Right.
Oh, wow. Well, that's fun. Like, in the audience, or was one of them actually a contestant?
They were both on Bidders Row in 2018.
Both of them?
I believe so, from the screenshots that I'm looking at right now.
As a duo, or
It might be as a duo.
Okay. Or, you know what I would love, though, Mike? What if they met? What if that's how they met?
Oh, that'd be incredible. Like, Drew Carey would have had to officiate their wedding, if that's the case. They would have to play high-low with all their wedding gifts.
Oh my God, there's a romance novel in this.
What I am intrigued by is, like, this looks to be a very dancey pose that they have, but for all the research that I have looked through, I have found no dance experience from them. I imagine that's the case. Like, they would not be this is like a David and Aubrey-esque pose, right? From season 34.
It is a very, this is a very, like, ballroom dance partner kind of pose. No, I'm still stuck on the Price is Right thing. Like, did they clash when he kept bidding $1 over her bid?
Yeah, that could be a bit of a deal breaker.
Yeah, did they go head to head in the final showcase?
Or when they ask if anyone has objections to whether this wedding should take place, when somebody stands up, does it go bah, 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 nah, bah?
Oh my God,
did their vows say spay and neuter your pets?
This is amazing. Like, did they have a wheel at their reception?
Oh yeah, exactly. And they give a shout out to all the guests that attended as they're spinning it.
Yeah, giant Plinko board.
Oh man, that's a hell of a wedding gift. Well, we'll see.
I gotta renew my vows.
I was gonna say, like, Jonathan and Anna, if this was not a Price is Right themed wedding, please consider having, I don't know, your child's bar and bat mitzvah, the next major occasion, Sweet 16, graduation party, be Price is Right themed.
Yeah, vow renewal. It's right there.
All right, next up we have Mark and Larry. They're both retired firefighters. Crawford is 63. Larry Graham is 59. They're best buds, pals together in the old firehouse. They do reside in two different towns now, Watertown and Bartlett, Tennessee. And, it feels like we're going for the old stereotypes from our Joel and Garrett's from season 35, right?
Yeah, these are kind of our sort of fish out of water team that like the old guys with big personalities. Yeah, I almost get an Art and JJ vibe from them though.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Larry looks like Santa, which is a
bit.
welcome sight, in the month after Christmas.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean,
It
Santa's
also
got to
doesn't
do
help that
something
he's
on the
wearing
uptime.
red as well.
Yeah. I mean, Christmas is over. What's Santa going to do for the next 11 months?
That's true. There's a non-zero chance that he is Santa Claus. Have we ever seen Santa and Larry in the same place at the same time?
I think he might be the real Santa, Mike. We might be dealing with I mean, that's a hook. That's a casting hook. That'll get you in the casting
And
room.
I'm Santa Claus.
And I'm the real Santa Claus.
All right. Well, let's see the gifts that keep on giving with the rest of this cast. Let's get into another parent-child team. This is Melinda and Erica Papadeus. Melinda is 66. She works in administration. Erica is 32. She's a client engagement specialist. Melinda is in Chandler, Arizona, and Erica is in Englewood, Colorado.
Yeah, they look like they're in pretty good shape. I feel like when you go into your photo and you have your hair down, I feel like that to me says it feels to me like you're a little unprepared.
It's like 1 degree removed from wearing jeans on The Amazing Race.
It's not as bad as wearing jeans. It's not remotely as bad as wearing jeans, but I feel like you need to tie that back. Like at least get like one of those little stretchy bands on it if you don't want to have a ponytail or braids or whatever. But your hair is going to be in your face. It's going to look good for about like 30 seconds at the top of the leg, and then you have to be on an airplane, and then you have to go run challenges. Just embrace the ponytail.
All right, let's move on to two guys who don't know their way about a ponytail because they've got relatively short hair here. This is Nick and Mike Fio. They are brothers from Brooklyn, New York, and they are both entrepreneurs and podcasters. They both work in a business together, I believe a non-profit. Blankets for Hope is apparently the name for it. They've been able to donate over 150,000 blankets to those in need by partnering with 500 plus schools across 45 states and 3 countries. Nick is the older brother at 32. Mike is the younger brother at 28.
What kind of podcasts do they do, Mike?
That's a good question. I imagine, you bet dollars to donuts they're going to be doing an Amazing Race recap series, right?
I hope so. I love it when the racers give us a little bit of inside stuff over the course of the season, but I don't think they're Amazing Race podcasters yet, or we would probably already know who they were.
Yeah, definitely not.
I'm just saying I'm not here for like one of those grow your business, word salad, economic entrepreneur type podcasts about increasing your personal brand. I hope they're doing something interesting.
We'll have to do a deep dive in the month in between. Last but not least, Scott and Lori Thompson, to be specific. Scott is 47, a physician's assistant. Lori is 49, a stay-at-home mom. They're both from Salt Lake City, Utah. And their byline, I kid you not, is married parents of 8 sons.
8 sons?
I don't know if it's only 8 children and they all happen to be sons, flipping that coin a certain number of times. I think the bigger to do, at least amongst the online community, is that apparently Scott is fairly involved in ORGs.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
So if you're looking for somebody that might be able to weaponize that U-turn in the way that people are hoping, it might be Scott.
Yeah. You're someone who's potentially crossed paths with Danny from last season.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like immediately sliding to Danny's DMs being like, hey, we're going on the race. Sorry about what happened to you and your mom. Give us as many tips as possible.
Yeah. Sorry I voted you out in that ORG.
That could be it as well. There could be some bad blood there.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, for the uninitiated, people that are in the ORG community, I think it's like a level up. It's like a new level of fandom.
Yeah, I mean, it's a commitment, right? Because you are playing, hopefully, with the ferocity that these people do on screen, but you're doing so behind another screen, dedicating a lot of your waking and sometimes sleeping hours to playing these games out. So, yeah, if you want to talk about someone who will not stop until they're done, Scott and Lori should be ringing it. And I will also tease as well, Jess, that there might be one of these teams that will be making their CBS debut appearance sooner rather than later on another show.
On another show.
But To find out that news, you're going to have to tune in tomorrow at parade.com, which is where I have the information about all of these amazing race teams. And we'll have plenty of coverage as the season comes up. Of course, I'll have a great chat with your friend and mine, Phil Kogan, about everything going on with what to expect about the season, breaking down each one of these 14 teams. How are you feeling right now? What's the temperature check? Like you said, first time we've been off Amazing Race for a while, being podcasting off of podcasting for a while. You excited to get back into it now that we get a sense as to what's going on?
I'm very excited to get back in the saddle now, Mike. I'm jazzed. I mean, it's going to take me a little while to get back up to speed. I feel like my podcasting chops are a little rusty, so you got to bear with me. But honestly, this is a fun cast. These people seem like they're all very excited to be there. And we got new twists, and if we hate them, that's even more fun to talk about.
Yeah, so no matter what happens, Jess and I will be back on March 5th. Let us know if you want us to do some other stuff. We've been batting around if we want to do a draft. Again, we don't know how much more information is coming out about these teams besides what we already know. But regardless, we'll be back covering it all, and I am very excited to see what we have in store, whether it's the new teams, the new twists, the old twists, the new locations, the very familiar host that we love so much. It's a great time to bring the Amazing Race back and to bring you back as well, Jess, into the podcasting fold. Anything you'd like to plug for the listeners out there?
I got nothing to plug. I haven't been podcasting for, 3.5 months at this point. Although I did, we have a retrospective coming up. I don't remember exactly how much we're saying about this, but you might see me on another RHAP podcast coming up pretty soon.
There we go. Well, Jess, I'm extremely excited to be back with you again. It feels like truly the Amazing Race season when you and I get to banter about on random tangents on what's supposed to be the Reality Flash podcast, like Price is Right themed weddings. And hopefully the pod was right for you all. Of course, make sure you send us any news that you feel is worthy of talking about here on the Reality Flash. Just tips at therealityflash.com, and be sure to subscribe at therealityflash.com to make sure you don't miss an episode. That's going to do it for this episode of The Reality Flash. I'll return in your eyes and ears soon with more reality TV news that you need to know as it breaks. Thank you all so much for listening. Let us know your thoughts about this Amazing Race season. Who do you think has your picks to take it all? What do you think about the return of the fast forward, about the new countries we're going to? Whatever this fork in the road is, let us know your thoughts in the comments, and I'm excited to hear from you all. Until next time, everybody, you've been flashed.